I don't think that success is like a lot of people believe it is, and for any really successful person. I think that everybody's always struggling. And what happens is, you just struggle at a higher level. It's like learning how to ski or play some sport, and you're just kind of doing this higher thing, but it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like I'm struggling. And I think it's, and it's a good feeling. The way I think of it is, I've always thought that it's like, in order to be successful in life, you have to cross a jungle. Or you can stay on the other side of the jungle and not cross the jungle. But if you choose to cross the jungle has all sorts of things that can do you harm and bite you and everything along those lines. And so the best way to do that is to go into that with people who can see things differently and watch themselves and struggle to make it to the other side. And then what I've discovered along the way is that it's always a struggle, and I enjoy being in the jungle. I don't want to get to the other side. I don't want to get out. So that's what it feels like to me.
Then what's your advice to these small business founders today?
Work hard. You're going to need some luck, but the harder you work, the luckier you get. And if it doesn't work out, that's not the end of the world. I just don't have anything in common with people that sit there and say, oh my God, it was terrible. So it's water over the dam, under the bridge. Get on with it and start another business the next day or another career. And be honest, look in the mirror and say, why didn't it work out? Well, it wasn't the skill set, or I didn't have the temperament for it, or I was in the wrong place, wrong time. Maybe I can afford to do it again, maybe I can't. But people aren't honest with themselves. What I've always done is I've taken a yellow pad, I draw a line down the middle, write out the pros on one side, the cons on another, in the sense that if I let you see it, you wouldn't laugh at me. And then when I get done, I just rip it up and throw it away, because I've worked out in my mind what is real and what isn't, and what I can present to people and what I can't.
I think many kids and many grown-ups do figure out over time what their passions are. And sometimes we let I don't think it's that hard. I think what happens though sometimes is that we let our intellectual selves overrule those passions. And so that's what needs to be guarded against. Kids are very good about knowing what their passions are.
Being young and trying things, you're so naive and you don't know any better. All you do is learn. And if you fail, it doesn't matter. And so whether I was 9, 10, 12, 16, 21, the failures were irrelevant. And whether you're 9, 12, 16, 21, 22, 24, I'm sleeping on the couch. I have a car with a hole in the floorboard. I'm living like a bum and like a student. And so what did I have to lose? And so I think that influenced me as much as anything. So it was, my dad was like, go for it. Why not? What have you got to lose? You have to sleep on a different couch. So I think that was motivation.
It's a gift if you can keep your childlike sense of wonder. And it helps with creativity. It helps to have fun. You laugh more and play more if you keep that childlike sense of wonder.
And I think if you believe in what you're doing, many people will tell you, why you're mistaken, why it'll never work. But if you really believe passionately in what you're doing, just keep going, keep pushing on, and until you either succeed or at least you realize that it's just not going to happen. And then if you don't succeed, pick yourself up and try again. And ultimately, if you're that determined, you will succeed in life. And if you don't, you'll have a hell of a lot of fun trying.
I don't think that you can invent on behalf of customers unless you're willing to think long term, because a lot of invention doesn't work. If you're going to invent, it means you're going to experiment, you have to think long term. So these three ideas, customer centricity, long-term thinking, and a passion for invention, those go together. That's how we do it. And by the way, we have a lot of fun doing it that way.
A lot of times my issue is people are not setting goals that will be something that somebody who becomes rich or could do anything. You got to be excited about working on that for 10 years. So you got to have a big enough goal that you attract the best people and you retain them and you keep them focused. And in my experience, you don't go wrong. Maybe you don't hit it next year, Or maybe you fail entirely and you discover something more exciting to work on with the same set of people.
Do something you're very passionate about.
When they say I can't afford it or I can't do that, they become what they say. And I made so many people, I can't afford it. You think I'm made of money? My PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape, you know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. When you could go to the gym, but no, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym. A question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. But the thing is that we become creatures of our own habits. And until we break the habit, we don't change. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, it was probably taught to you. You know, your superego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever. If you're poor, you'll always be poor. Just like most pro athletes, you know, they make millions of dollars, and what 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families. Now you tell them that, they get very angry at you. It's not, it's the rich fault, you know, you guys ripped me off, and the government ripped me off. But unfortunately, it's passed down genetically. That's the frightening thing. We've got to change what we teach our kids. So I remember raising my hand when I was 9 years old, talking to my fourth grade teacher, and I said, you know, when am I going to learn about money? She says, the love of money is the root of all evil. We don't teach money at school. I said, why not? And she couldn't answer me, and she got very flustered. She says, go ask your father. He's my boss. So my father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. And I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, you know? And he got flustered and he said, look, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? So why ask him? He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He says, I'm an employee, I'm a government employee. And I went, oh. What's the difference? He says the difference is an entrepreneur must know about money, or they're no longer entrepreneurs. And he says an employee doesn't have to know anything about money, because the government will take care of them, the company will take care of them. Money on one condition, and that condition was he would never pay me. He says the moment I pay you, you think like an employee. He says that's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. And now I'm 9 years old, my head's going cracking in half. He says, you never want a paycheck. You understand that, kid? I said, okay, I got it. And he says, well, how do I make money? He says, that's what entrepreneurs figure out. It's like a cat, you know, which comes first, a cat or the cat chasing its tail. And I said, so how do I learn about money? So he would just break out a Monopoly game board. So I would work for free. I'd pick up cigarette butts, and he had hotels and restaurants, and I would clean and do menial tasks. And as I got older, I started getting into office work and marketing and accounting, and I was an apprentice basically, but I always worked for free. He says that the moment you accept a paycheck, your brain goes dead. As long as you're hungry, you'll think. And he was a great, great teacher. You see, most teachers in school, they're out of ethics. They teach subjects they themselves don't practice. A fake teacher is somebody who just wants a job and they'll teach anything. You know, they teach how to shine shoes if you paid them more money. But they really don't know what they're teaching. For example, my calculus teacher, went to military school in New York, and I asked the teacher, I said, I'm in my 3rd year of calculus now. I said, am I ever going to use this stuff? He goes, no. I said, why do you teach it? He says, because I get paid. I said, do you ever use it? He goes, no. And that's why, you have to, in life, one of the things I suggest to people, you got to find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. School systems are making our students weaker. So in school, they have these things called now trigger effects. So you can't, as a teacher, you can't say anything that might upset the student. They don't want anything that might jar their point of view. So if I went into school, I'd be thrown out. You see people say, well, why don't you give the poor money? So the only problem with that is it just creates more poor people. You give a man a fish, you get a lot of people who want more fish, but you teach them to fish. We're more antagonistic, more antisocial. Social media is antisocial. That's the danger part. So the reason I'm speaking on spirituality, we got to evolve. It means meditation, it means yoga, it means praying, it means going to church, whatever it takes. But you got to get back to calm and peace and meditation. And it's going to be, as we all know, our banks have ripped us off immensely. They're just a bunch of crooks. I don't know how they can live with themselves. But the bankers rip off trillions and they get bonused in billions. Nobody goes to jail. That's the sickness of our society. So that's why I write about financial education. It's almost like self-defense. It's almost like taking judo against our own government and our own banking systems and Wall Street. People who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Because spirituality is there's good and there's bad, there's right and there's wrong, there's up and there's down. Most people only want to be right. They only want to be positive. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Every time I failed, it was like, good. I said, okay, what have I learned? And the average person, the reason they're poor is they haven't failed.
So many people ask me, is it possible to train your brain to help you make more money? And the answer is yes. So maybe I can share a story with you of how I started to train my own brain to help me make more money. And it started with setting some goals for the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live. And my mentor, Walter Schneider, many years ago, was a very, very successful businessman. And he said, in order to achieve your goals, he said, first you have to have the clarity of what they are. So let's say you have a financial goal of making, let's say $100,000 a year. Okay, that's about $8,500 a month, or about $2,150 every week that you want to earn. And let's say you're not earning that right now. One of the things you can do to train your brain to help you make that amount of money is, first and foremost, get clear on the exact amount you want to earn, whether it's per week, per month, or per year. That's step number one. Step number two, create a simple affirmation that goes like this. I am so happy and grateful for the fact that I am now earning $10,000 a month. Simple affirmation. And what I want you to do is I want you to read that affirmation every single morning 5 to 10 times, and every single night before you go to bed 5 to 10 times. And as you read that affirmation, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to practice, mentally rehearse you receiving that money in the form of a check or cash or in your bank account and see the money going into your bank account. I want you to feel what it feels like to consistently have $10,000 a month coming into your bank account. And you can choose whatever amount you want, by the way. And as you close your eyes and you visualize that money coming into your account, what I also want you to visualize is the impact that that amount of money will have on your life, your family's life, your friend's life, the community that you live in, and the charities that you want to support. Get totally into a mental movie and the emotions as if you were a Hollywood actor or actress pretending that that was really happening. So you'd read your affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that I am now earning $10,000 a month. And as you do that and you repeat that, mentally rehearse, visualize what that looks like. And what that does is that primes your brain to see and feel as if it is real right now. And that activates the different parts of your brain, specifically the left prefrontal cortex, which is the genius, CEO, Einstein part of your brain that can actually help you figure out how to achieve that goal and dream. So if you do that in the morning and at night before bed, morning upon waking up, nighttime before bed, you will start to prime your brain with an affirmation, with a mental rehearsal, and you will cognitively prime your brain. And if you want a bonus step, what I want you to do is take a vision board, either on your computer or a physical board, and cut out some pictures of what lifestyle earning $10,000 a month will allow you to live. What kind of car would you drive? What kind of places would you go vacation in? What kind of home would you live in? What kind of charities would you support? Get pictures of the outcome of earning $10,000 a month is, or $100,000 a year, and start to see yourself in that scenario and act as if it is real right now. And then every day ask yourself a question. What can I do today to make that amount of income a reality? And take one or two action steps towards making that a reality. So the physical actions, in addition to the mental rehearsal with affirmations and mental rehearsals, visualizations, is one of the best ways to start priming your brain to achieve the financial goals you have.
If anyone in the world can do it, so can you. If people can get that, I hope to give that to my kids. Like, if you want to be an astronaut, why wouldn't you? If you want to be the president of the United States, why wouldn't you? Like, you can. You just have to figure out what it's going to take to get there and do it. Take a step every day. And so that paradigm was in my brain maybe when I was young. I don't exactly remember, but this idea of no matter what it is, it may just take time and a particular skill set, but if you want to run a multi-$100 million business, find someone who's doing it and get them to mentor you, or find 10 people that are doing it and learn little things from them, right? It's all there. It's all been done before, right? So that was kind of where my paradigm came around. If you can't, you must.
My philosophy is very, very simple when it comes to my family, particularly, me being a dad. If they're hungry, it's because I'm starving. I don't eat until they eat. I'm not comfortable until they're comfortable. I don't have unless they have. That's the mentality, and that's the mentality that I strictly get from my mother. And so for me, having that kind of mentality, well, what comes with that? What comes with that is a certain work ethic that you have to put forth.
It's easy to slip back into, I'm not going to push myself, because when people blow smoke up your ass constantly, 24/7, 365, it's a good feeling,
Even the most vigilant, high-performance person will be subjected.
Absolutely.
You've seen that.
That's why guys like Gates, the late Steve Jobs, Elon, they don't hang. Eagles fly alone. When it's hard for the birds that are flying at 10,000 feet to blow smoke up your ass when you're at 25,000 feet.
People are trying to do the impossible right now. They're trying to save what they make. Dude, it's easier just to make another $4 grand. There's no shortage of money. There's no shortage of money on this planet. There's plenty of money. You said it, $4 trillion has been freaking manufactured. You got to first decide there's no shortage. You know, clear up your thinking about what your daddy thinks a lot of money is. And get rid of the thinking that you make enough. You don't, nobody does. And then start thinking, okay, my first target should be 125. That gets you in the top 5% of all the earners on planet Earth. Okay, if you earn 125 grand a year, that's $10,000 a month.
Top 5% planet Earth.
Planet Earth, bro. You're on top. You're at the party now. At least you've been invited to the party of prosperity on planet Earth. I'm not talking about money, man. I'm talking about taking care of your kids. Or you want to send them to school. You're going to have to buy a car. You probably need a house at some point. You need clothes. You got to have food. You're going to have an emergency. You need some freaking dough. Yeah. I'm not talking about money, right? So now if you want to get in the big leagues, now you got to start thinking about these other numbers. 250, 400, a million a month.
It doesn't take any talent to be a critic. It takes real work to think through an idea and see the world differently from everybody else, articulate it, and then put your reputation on the line and go popularize it, right? That's work. It's not easy to do. And you have to be willing to be unpopular. You know, when I was 15 years old and starting into my exercise journey, I remember sitting on the couch and not wanting to go to the gym, and it flipped in my brain. I was like, the harder this is, the stronger I become. So the more I feel this pull to stay home, the more I go. I was 15 years old and it was freezing cold in Canada, you know, grew up in Toronto, and I go out running at 5 in the morning, and people go, why do you do that? Because it sucks. And that was always my belief. It's because I hate it. And I would go off until I just threw up, or until my lungs burnt. And maybe that was the inner contempt that I felt, but it was also like, I know that I don't want to do this. Nothing about me wants to do this. So I do it, right? And that may be what allowed me to build that mentality to overcome all those obstacles that occurred during my bodybuilding career, right? And then there was endless obstacles. There was a lot of deterrence. There was a lot of negative mindset. People think I'm just naturally a mentally strong guy, but like, oh man, I had more struggles than anybody, and that's why I succeeded, right? Because I used those struggles and I looked at them, and rather than saying, oh, I can't do it, I go, all right, I don't know if I'm gonna come out on the other side, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try, right? It's just like seeing it as an opportunity for progress. Your greatest obstacle is your greatest opportunity for growth and progress. And if I can switch that mindset rather than, oh, that's an obstacle, I don't want to go over there, take the first step and then run full speed. And that's the greatest opportunity for progress. When you see the easy road over there, man, let everybody else go that way. Let them all go that way, and you go over there, right? And again, why did I build big legs? Or some people say some of the best legs in all time, because nobody else did it. You know, I have so much respect for the guys who built the amount of muscle I did, because it's not easy, man. It's not, you get it, like it's not easy. And the amount of struggle I went through, and like I had such an obsession because I sucked at it. You know, it's funny that, you know, I was told I'd never be a professional bodybuilder because I had small legs and narrow shoulders. And if you ever want to look at a picture of my bodybuilding career, I had the biggest legs on stage by far and the widest shoulders by far, because somebody said that to me and I was like, okay, thank you. Like, right? I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm not gonna take it in and go, oh, I don't, he was mean to me. Thank you.
It's a willingness to sacrifice. Am I the most disciplined person in the world? No. Am I the most meticulous person in the world, like some people would believe? No, I'm meticulous enough and I'm disciplined enough, but I also know how to let go and relax or whatever, and sometimes I may not be as disciplined as I should be. But I think the key thing is that the bottom line is everything to me. And whatever the bottom line requires is what I'm going to do. If the bottom line requires an excessive level of discipline, I'm going to do it. If I can slack off a little bit and still achieve that goal, I might pick and choose from time to time to slack off just a little bit. Yeah. But to me, it's whatever the moment or the situation demands. And I'm a bottom lines oriented kind of person. I have an assistant. I have people who work for me. I have people who work with me. They'll tell you I'm very bottom line kind of guy. If you tell me that the job is going to get done, and the job is going to get done in an excellent fashion, and it requires 90% effort, I'll let you go with that. I'll let you get away with that. I'm not going to sweat it. But if this requires 100% and you give me 99, I might want to fire you. because I'm about getting the job done.
Sure.
It's about the results. And I think that, you know, unfortunately, when we look at our generation today, not enough people preach about that. You know,
Why do you think that is?
Because I think that we live in a society where people have become masters at pointing the finger at other people about reasons why things don't get done. I think there's too much explanation that goes on.
What you taught me to do is to engineer risk into my life.
Correct.
So now every time I'm faced with a decision, or sometimes even when I'm not faced with a decision, I just think, how can I engineer more risk in this situation? Whereas before, I would try my hardest to engineer less risk in the situation, which meant growth was slow. And I played it safe. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter anyways. What, so a couple people thought I failed?
Yeah, so you played, instead of playing to win, you played not to lose. And one of the, not new concept, we talked about it when you were there a few years ago. When you start a business from zero, your first 50,000 in revenue is geometric. Your next 500,000.
Explain that to people. So when you start a business, most any business, those first 50,000 in revenue is geometric.
Because it comes from zero, nothing.
Right, it goes from 0 to 50, you're just obviously
okay, and then 50, from 0 to 500 is geometric. Okay, Microsoft started that way, Facebook started that way, Google. But then what people start doing is they start playing, instead of to win, they play not to lose, and they start not doing the same things that got them the first geometric growth. But the other more important thing, in my judgment, and it's really proven really beneficial to the kids in the last year or two, is that first million in revenue, because we buy revenue. It's easier to buy revenue than create it. That revenue that has $1 million now, we don't know how much he spent or they spent to create that million. So when banks see that, you're de-risking the commercial debt. You're de-risking because you're having cash flow, free cash flow that covers debt service based on somebody else. It may have taken them 25 years to get $1 million in revenue. And you're buying it in a week, a month.
It's always great to let the other person talk. Let them talk. Let them just keep talking. Throw out a word that gets them a little bit. He'll talk more. And as he's talking, you can kind of figure out his mentality, his personality, what you can get out of him, what you can't get out of him. And it helped me a lot in negotiating deals later on. And you know, sometimes you may be the smartest person in the room, and you don't want anybody to know that. You just want to keep quiet like you don't know anything. Let them think they're smarter than you. And there's other times when you're not the smartest person in the room, but you want people to think you are. So you have to learn how to have that skill.
I learned when I sat back and reflected on the mistakes that I had made in my career at the time. I learned that no boss wants to talk to anybody that doesn't have solutions. There's a flip
That is
side.
very true.
There's a flip side.
Yeah.
I've never met a boss that doesn't want to talk to someone with solutions. See the difference? Now, if you don't want to talk to somebody with problems, and you don't want to talk to somebody with solutions, then to me, you're the problem. Because you're not trying to solve. You want to go with status quo. You're perfectly fine with flowing along, just
Safe,
to get along,
secure.
safe, secure, whatever. But when you're trying to win, you're constantly looking to get better.
How do you motivate yourself? One of the things that we must do is that we must be involved in working on achieving self-mastery. You must work on yourself continuously. Never be satisfied with yourself. Always know that as you invest the effort and time on you, that's the greatest ability that human beings have above animals. See, a dog can't be anything but a dog. A tree can't be anything but a tree. Human being, you've got unlimited potential. You can put effort on you, and by concentrating on you and developing you, you can transform your life wherever you are right now. So you want to work on yourself. You want to read books that inspire you and motivate you. You want to listen to tapes over and over and over again. And I suggest that you listen to tapes when you first get up in the morning. You want to control the spirit of your day. When you first wake up in the morning, your mind is operating at 10.5 wave cycles per second. That's when the subconscious mind is most impressionable. Whatever you hear in the first 20 minutes when you wake up, that will affect the spirit of your day. When you listen to tapes, listen with relaxed belief, believing that this can happen for you. And by listening to them, listen to them over and over and over again, and you will get a breakthrough. And as you continue to work on yourself, you will begin to expand your vision of yourself. You'll begin to work towards self-mastery. And you will begin to see it reflect itself in all the dimensions of your life, your mental life, your physical life, your social life, in your relationships, your monetary life. So concentrate on developing yourself. Because if you don't, I guarantee you that you will make a settlement. And most people have. In addition to working on yourself, and as you work on yourself, you feel good about yourself, and as you feel better about yourself, you treat yourself differently. Develop a health plan. See, you can't feel well and do well if you don't have good health. You can't perform if you don't have your health. Your health is valuable. Develop a health plan. A plan that you will follow, because this is the only vehicle that you have to carry you through this experience called life. And you want to take good care of it because you love you enough. You care enough about you. And that's not easy. It is not easy having a health plan and sticking to it. But you're worth it doing it again and again and again. I have lost 22 pounds several times. Next thing is, as you take care of yourself, the next key is keys to motivation, to self-motivation. You want to live life with energy and passion. You want to make a conscious effort to be lively. See, in life, you either saying hello or goodbye. You either on the way or in the way. Leave dead people alone. You want to smile. You want to be happy. You got a lot to be thankful for. But you watch some of the faces around you every day. And I tell you, some of these faces, they will put you in a depressed state of mind. So you want to avoid these kind of faces. The next thing that is a key to self-motivation is that you've got to ask yourself, what do I want out of life? What do you want out of life? What do you want out of a job? What do you want out of a career? What do you want out of a relationship? What do you want? What gives you your life? How will you know when you got it? What will make you happy? You need to know. You need to start asking yourself some questions. What do I really, really, truly want? You need to be exact about that. Don't be vague. Oh, I just want to be happy. That's too vague. What will make you happy? How will you know when you got it? Zero in on it. Be exact. Be specific. And as you do that, that will stimulate that superconscious mind, or the reticular activating system of your mind, that will begin to find those things, to identify with it. And once you begin to determine that which you want, take the time to write it down. Don't just think about it. Write it down. That is a subjective process that engages the subconscious mind. Write it down. Once you write it down, read it 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. Why is that important? Because what it will do, it will cause you to focus. It will cause you to concentrate. When that other conversation is going on telling you what you cannot do, telling you all of the impossibilities and all of the obstacles, your concentrating will begin to create a larger vision within yourself, and you'll start looking for and seeing some new opportunities. You start creating some openings for yourself.
Life changes every day. Sometimes things will be going your way. Sometimes things work well for you. Sometimes it won't work so well. Sometimes you'll have your health, you're feeling good and energetic, have a yes I can attitude, and there's some things that can happen to you in life that can take all of that from you. All of that can go. Sometimes you might be financially secure, and a sickness, one sickness can wipe out an illness. Life always changes. But you can choose in the midst of all of this that's going on to be happy in spite of it. In the good times and in the bad times, you can make a choice. Viktor Frankl, he talks about that. He said the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Douglas Matlock has a poem I love entitled It's Fine Today. He said, sure, this world is full of trouble. I ain't said it ain't. Lord, I've had enough and double reason for complaint. Rain and storm have come to fret me. Skies are often gray. Thorns and brambles have beset me on the road. But say, ain't it fine today? What's the use of always weeping, making trouble last? What's the use of always keeping thinking of the past? Each must have his tribulation, water with his wine. Life, it ain't no celebration. Trouble, I've had mine, but today is fine. It's today that I'm living, not a month ago, having, losing, taking, giving, as time wills it so. Yesterday, a cloud of sorrow fell across the way. It may rain again tomorrow. It may rain, but say, ain't it fine today? If a cloud of sorrow comes over here, ain't it fine today? Living in the moment, getting everything we can out of where we are in the moment where we are right now. Living in the present. The other thing is willingness to let people and things go. You want to live a life of fulfillment. You've got to be willing to let certain people go in your life, especially if they want to go. When they're no longer good for you, just let them go. Just to hold on tenaciously really doesn't make really good sense, all right? Just many times we do it because we don't realize that we might desire it, but we don't need it. And ladies and gentlemen, you've got to be willing to risk. If you're not willing to risk, you can't grow in life. Life has no power when you're not willing to risk. Somebody wrote this and it was given to me. It said, to laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas, your dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. But risk must be taken, because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. They may avoid suffering and sorrow, but they cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, and live. Chained by their certitudes, they are a slave. They have forfeited their freedom. Only a person who risks is free. Next thing is face the truth about life and deal with it. A lot of people, when someone in their life they love very much dies, they allow it to take such a toll on them. They make themselves miserable, and they literally will themselves to die early because they feel without this person they have nothing to look forward to. And no, life has other opportunities, other relationships, other experiences for us. And the people that we love really want us to go on. Other thing is, things are going to happen to you. Here, in order to have a fulfilling life, knowing that things are going to happen, expect the unexpected. Whatever happens to you, use everything for your upliftment, learning, and growth. Everything that happens, use it for your upliftment, learning, and growth. In the midst of it, ask, what can I learn from this? What can I get from this? How did I end up here? What's the blessing in this for me?
Most people never achieve their goals because most people suffer from possibility blindness. They look around trying to think about the things that they don't have. Robert Roots, a young man who wrote a book about success principles of the Three Little Pigs, he said, it's not what you don't have, it's what you think you need that keeps you from being successful or happy in life. It's not what you don't have. See, I was focused on what I didn't have. don't have a college degree, don't have any credentials, never worked for a major corporation. I was focused on the negative things. It said negative things are the things that you see when you're not focused on your goal. What do you come with? What is it? A friend of mine, Dexter Yeager, said when the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. I'm reminded of a great man. I was reading Time magazine talking about some of the great minds of the last century. They didn't mention his name, Dr. Howard Thurman, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., also an advisor to Mahatma Gandhi and Albert Schweitzer. And he said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members standing around their bed praying with them as they cross over. But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the dreams given to you by life, the ideas that you never acted on, the talents, the gifts, the abilities that you never used. And there they are, standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. And the question is, if you died this very moment, what will die with you? What dreams? What ideas? What talents? What leadership potential? What greatness that you showed up to bring? That you allowed fear or procrastination to hold you back? Perhaps that's why Henry David Thoreau wrote the words, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived, only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. When you don't have a true appreciation and acceptance for who you are, and you allow yourself to be immobilized by fear, what happens in the process is that you begin to abuse yourself. You begin to sabotage your life, you begin to sabotage your dreams, you begin to unconsciously work against yourself. You become your own worst enemy. So what do you do about that? Well, you begin to realize that your dream and your gifts have so much meaning and so much value for you till your hunger for them will begin to push you past the fear. Your hunger to have them will give you a special drive. As you work on yourself, as you begin to acknowledge your true identity, the true power that you have, the true capacity you have to bring about change, the miracle working power that you have within yourself to do the things that you want to do. When you take them on, I'm reminded of a man who, this gentleman was doing a special study of a special tribe in Africa, headhunters. And he had difficulty in developing a relationship with these tribesmen because of the fact that he had fear. He had fear they would take his head. So he worked there for a long time with no effort, no progress in developing a relationship and rapport and being able to achieve a level of trust. So finally one night while he was in bed, he was thinking about it. I said, what is it that you came here to do? What is your life work as a missionary? I want to study these tribesmen. So what's the worst thing that they can do to you? Kill you. And he just decided, hey, this is what I came here to do. I know that there's some risk involved, and I'm going to do it, come what may. He said, I'm not going to be afraid of it. He went back the next day, and he started doing the work and trying to talk to and interview many of the members of this tribe. And they began to respond to him. They threw out the welcome mat to him. And years later, when people came to see what his progress was, they asked him, how were you able to do this? How did you convert the relationship from being hostile to that of being positive? And he said something I think has value for all of us. He said, when life can no longer threaten you with death, what else is there? And the majority of the fears that we have are not life or death fears. They're not those kind of fears.
I believe this is true for pretty much all human behaviors and actions. It is actually the anticipation that it will be good that gets you to lift it up. The reason that I take a drink of this tea is not because I like the tea. I haven't drank it yet. It's because I anticipate that having a sip will taste good. And so it's actually the anticipation or the hope, the prediction of what is to come that motivates all actions to occur. The craving motivates you to act, then you take the action, and then there's the reward, and the reward serves two purposes. And the first one is that it satisfies the craving that came before. So if the thing that got you to buy the online course or that got you to sign up for the personal trainer at the gym was the hope or the anticipation that, oh, if I do this, then I'll be getting fit, or if I do this, then I'll be, getting the ideas I need to build my business or whatever. You satisfied that craving by making the purchase. And so now that craving is actually gone. What you need is a different craving now. You need the craving to make sales calls or to do a set of burpees or whatever. That's the new craving that you need to actually stick with the real thing. You've fulfilled the craving that motivated the purchase. We mentioned the 4 stages: cue, craving, response, reward. And for each of the stages, I've come up with what I call a law of behavior change. So for the cue, the first law is to make it obvious. For the craving, the law is to make it attractive. Response, make it easy. And reward, make it satisfying. The first idea is you want to make the cues of your good habits obvious, available, visible, easy to see. The easier it is that they catch your attention, the more likely you'll fall into the habit. To break a bad habit, you just invert each of the 4 laws. So rather than making the cues of your bad habits obvious, you want to make them invisible. Rather than making it attractive, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying.
And an example, what is a good example of that for good and bad habits?
So one of the places I like to suggest starting is with what I call environment design. So basically, the things that are on your desk at home, your kitchen counter, your office at work, they influence your behaviors. And if you can restructure your physical environment or your digital environment, then you're more likely to actually stick with the right habit. As an example, a lot of people feel like they watch too much television. So walk into pretty much any living room, where do all the couches and chairs face? They all face the TV. It's like, what is this room designed to get you to do? And now I'm not saying you have to restructure your entire house, but there are a range of choices you could make, right? You could take the chair and turn it away from the television and have it face a coffee table with a book on it. Or you could put the TV inside a wall unit or a cabinet, something behind doors so you're less likely to see it. But you can also use it to promote good habits. So, for example, I used to buy apples and I would put them in the crisper at the bottom of the fridge and I wouldn't see them because they were tucked down there. And so then 2 weeks later, they would go bad and I'd get annoyed because I'm throwing food out and throwing money away. And so I bought a big display bowl and I put it right in the middle of the counter and put the apples in there, and now they're gone in like 3 days just because it's obvious. Same thing was true when I built a flossing habit. I realized that for many years I would brush my teeth twice a day, but I would only floss every now and then. It was like, well, why is that? Well, one of the reasons is because the floss was in a drawer in the bathroom and I just wouldn't see it. It was tucked away down there. So this time I bought a little bowl and put it right next to my toothbrush and put the floss in there. Now brush my teeth, put the toothbrush down, pick the floss up. Now I floss twice a day, which I've been told is excessive. So it's, it's like all I needed was that environment change, and those habits were kind of able to fall in line.
I heard a similar story with Google when they designed their workspaces. They put the healthy drinks in front and then the non-healthy drinks like behind.
Yep.
So they don't try to restrict them from you because then everyone will be like, what the hell's going on? But it's just easier to grab water and I think fruit. And you have to reach really far back to get the sugar stuff.
You don't need to lose weight. You need better eating habits, and then your weight will always be around where you want it to be. You don't need more money. You just need better financial habits, and then you'll always have enough money to manage the thing that comes up. And so it's really the habits that need to change, not the result.
I got rich by the time I was 31. Here's the best advice I give my teenage friends. It was easy. What can I tell you? It was hard? No, it was easy. I'm a millionaire by 31. Let me tell you how I did it. I got 3 reasons why I got rich by the time I was 31. Let me give you those. Here's number one. I lived in America. I mean, how lucky can you get? America's easy. That's why everybody wants to come here. Neil Diamond says, looks like everybody's heading for. They're all coming to America. Why? Everybody wants to come here by every means possible to get here. Why? Because America's easy. So if you go home with anything, go home with that. Mr. Rohn reminded us that America's easy. He got rich by the time he was 31. America's easy. America's easy. Now, in about 90 days, you can have that memorized. Tell you, that's all you need. I got rich by the time I was 31. I lived in America. America's easy. Now, here's number two. I found an opportunity. That's all you got to do in America, search for an opportunity. Take the first one, right? Try it. That isn't it. It leads to another. One door closes, another door opens. This is what's exciting about America. It's full of opportunity. A chance to try, and then what? Try again, and then what? Try again, never run out of opportunity to try. See if you can't better your life and your health and your future and your bank account and your income. Make your fortune here. I lived in America, number one. Found an opportunity, number three. Number two, here's number three. I found a teacher. What a grand and glorious, unique thing that was for me at that time in my life. I found a teacher willing to teach me. And his teaching came in two parts. Here's what it was. Very simple. Number one, Mr. Rohn, you have evidently messed up between ages 19 and 25. Now, I could understand that, but he didn't leave me there. He said, now here's the answers on how to change it all, the next 6 years, so that the next 6 years won't be like the last 6. What an incredible teacher. Taught me how to have a whole brand new 6 years. First 6, what? I messed up. Second 6, what? I got it right. Second 6 years, I became a millionaire. During that second 6 years, the government was about the same. I'm telling you. Interest rates were about what? The same. The pay scale was about what? The same. Lord knows my negative relatives were the same. Circumstances were about the same. The economy was about the same. The unions and their philosophy was about the same. What was going on around me was about the same. Then how come I got rich that second 6 years? I was not the same. I changed. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, if you can do that, can anybody do it? Yes, I invite you on that journey. Anytime you want to. You can stay the same so that the next 6 years will be like the last 6. Take a look at the last 6 years. And I'm telling you, the next 6 years of your life is going to be like the last 6. Or unless you want to count on this short list that we call not much list, most everybody's counting on this not much list. What if all of your negative relatives turn positive? What would that do for your future and your fortune? What? Not much. Not much. What if prices came down a little? What'll that do for your future? I'm telling you, not much. If the economy gets a little better, what'll that do? Not much. Now that the Democrats are in power, what's that going to do for your future? I'm telling you, it's a not much list. If you don't make plans of your own, guess what? You'll probably always fit into someone else's plan. Guess what someone else may have planned for you? Then what's going to make the difference? You're going to have to make the difference. You're going to have to take charge. Now, Mr. Schultz, my teacher gave me a promise, and I want to give you that promise now. Here was the promise I got, and I bring it to you. Here's what my teacher said. If you will change, Mr. Rohn, he said, if you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change the government. You don't have to change prices. You don't have to change taxes. Get all that. He said, if you will change, everything will change for you. And the first thing you start changing is what? Your philosophy. You start changing your mind. You start changing how you think. You start picking up new ideas and information. Gather new knowledge. Make better decisions about what's valuable. And I'm telling you, if you'll do that, your whole life will change. Your health will change. Your relationship with your family will change. Your ability to cope with challenges and problems will change. I'm telling you, income, promotions, all of it will change. If you will change, it'll all change. If you won't change, it isn't going to change.
It's like an algorithm that you can rely on. It's a cognitive script, a mental shortcut that you can pull out whenever the situation is right. even if you are talented, you can't succeed without having great habits. You don't need to lose weight, you need better eating habits, and then your weight will always be around where you want it to be. You don't need more money, you just need better financial habits, and then you'll always have enough money to manage the thing that comes up. You can be the architect of your habits rather than the victim of them. A lot of the time people talk about, I want to have more money, or I want to lose weight, or I want some kind of result. But the truth is, your bank account is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning and reading habits. And so it's actually, we think the thing that needs to change is the bank account or the test score or the number on the scale, but actually the thing that needs to change are the habits that precede those outcomes. Every action you take is kind of like a vote for the type of person you want to become. And if you can master the right actions, if you can master the right habits, then you can start to cast votes for this new identity, this desired person that you want to be. Doing one push-up does not transform your body, but it does cast a vote for being the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. The technical definition of a habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to be more or less automatic. So things that you can do pretty much without thinking about them. Unplugging your toaster after each use, or tying your shoes, or brushing your teeth. Things that you pretty much just go on autopilot when you do them. Now, why does the brain build them? What role does it play? Well, as you go through life, you need energy to survive. And this is true not just for humans, but for all organisms need some kind of energy to survive. And getting energy requires energy. You need to eat food to be able to walk around and find the next meal. Using energy is expensive because the more energy you use, the less you have available for the other things that life throws at you. And so your brain is looking for ways to conserve energy whenever possible. And habits are a great method for doing that. So for example, when our ancestors were roaming around the savannah, if there was a berry patch 100 meters from you, it made sense to go to that berry patch rather than one that was like on the other side of the mountain, right? You would choose the path of least resistance. And eventually, what your brain learns is, oh, whenever I'm by this tree, that means the berry patch is 100 meters away. And so the tree becomes a signal that, hey, food is over there. And your brain is always picking up on these signals throughout life that indicate where things are at. And the more that you come across those signals, the more you automate your response, and pretty soon you're taking a right when you get to that tree, even though you're not even thinking about it, you're just doing it automatically. And it makes that whole process of finding energy, solving the problems of life, and getting through things easier. It requires less energy and attention and effort than it did before. A lot of people don't feel like they have control over their habits. They feel like their habits are taking control of them, that they're like a victim of these bad routines. And once you start to dive in a little bit and like uncover the layers and realize what a habit is and how it works, then you start to develop a little more control over it. If we're going to be building habits anyway, then it makes more sense to be able to understand how they work and how to structure them so that you can be the architect of your habits rather than the victim of them.
And you break them down into this cue, craving, response, and reward, which is kind of not the traditional way.
So I choose that 4-stage model: cue, craving, response, reward. There's a lot of science behind it. 3 of those 4 stages are very common: cue, response, and reward. And the idea, and there's 100 years of behavioral psychology research behind this, that if you show someone the right cue and they take an action and then you follow it with a reward, you can train them to do that thing whenever the cue arises again, whenever the stimulus happens. So if whenever the light in the lab turns on, the monkey gets a squirt of juice, then it knows whenever the light is on, I should go over and put my mouth underneath the nozzle to get some juice or whatever. And you can do that for all kinds of things. And it works for human behavior as well in many ways. But then there was this second wave of research with cognitive psychology over the last probably 50 to 75 years that shows that not only do external cues and external rewards influence our habits, but also internal moods, emotions, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, those influence our behaviors too. So you don't actually do something for the reward, you do it for the image that the reward creates in your mind. If you go to Amazon and you buy Atomic Habits or you buy some book or whatever, you aren't actually buying the book. You can't because you don't have it yet. What you're buying is the image that sales page creates in your mind. You're buying the expectation that it will be a good book. And the reward of actually having the book or reading the thing only comes afterward. It only comes after the action.